Hello and good evening. You are watching Newsplus right here on CTN Prime. My name is Faith Nyaude. A quick look at stories that are making the headlines tonight. President Emmerson Mnangagwa has applauded global efforts towards poverty eradication since 1995, highlighting the strides that Zimbabwe has made in improving the livelihoods of its citizens. We have highlights from his statement at the ongoing Second Social Development Summit in Doha. We shall also look at agriculture, where Zimbabwe is poised for yet another summer of favorable rainfall, bringing renewed optimism for another bumper harvest. We hear from experts on their predictions for this year's summer cropping season. Our courts correspondent, Blessing Masakadza, is on standby with the latest on the rape and fraud case involving Prophet Walter Magaya and his wife. That's coming up later on in the bulletin. And in sports, who is going to land the Warriors' top job? A short list of candidates is now out, with former Bafana Bafana coach Stuart Baxter touted as the main frontrunner. Now, our top story this evening, Zimbabwe's fight against poverty is bearing fruit, with new data showing a significant drop in poverty levels and major improvements in education and healthcare. Speaking at the World Summit for Social Development in Doha, President Emmerson Mnangagwa said that the country's progress reflects the resilience and innovation of its people.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa today shared with the world the country's steady progress. Delivering his statement at the ongoing Second Social Development Summit in Doha, Qatar, the president opened a window for a sneak peek at a nation that has turned its challenges into opportunities. Zimbabwe's poverty rate, which stood at 62% in 1995, has fallen to 38.3%. The country has also recorded gains in life expectancy, which has risen from 44 years to 65 years over the past 30 years. The president said this is evidence of policies focused on inclusive growth, education, and social protection.
Poverty levels declined from 62% in 1995 to 38.3% in 2019.
Education remains a cornerstone of the country's development agenda. The Basic Education Assistance Module, known as BEAM, is now supporting over 1.5 million learners every year, among them children with disabilities. Primary school enrollment now stands at 88%, while adult literacy has climbed to 93.6%. Education 5.0, a heritage-based philosophy which the government has championed, is also aimed at poverty eradication and employment creation through innovation.
Primary education enrollment has risen to 88%, while adult literacy is 93.6%. And life expectancy is at 64.7 years. Flagship programs such as the Basic Education Assistance Module benefit over 1.5 million learners annually.
Health and food security are key pillars in Zimbabwe's development narrative. Through the Health Assistance Fund and climate-smart agriculture, President Mnangagwa said his government is building a more resilient population, one that can withstand economic shocks and changing weather patterns. The president also pointed out hurdles to efforts by his administration to better the lives of citizens. He said progress is being constrained by coercive measures and unilateral sanctions, as well as climate shocks and limited access to development finance.
Progress remains constrained by coercive measures and unilateral sanctions imposed on us, climate shocks and restricted access to development finance.
President Mnangagwa used the platform to call for reforms to the global financial system, reforms that he says must give developing nations fair access to resources and opportunities. He said a lot still needs to be done to ensure that the world wins the fight against poverty.
Zimbabwe, therefore, calls for reform for the international financial architecture, debt relief, and enhanced development financing consistent with the SEV commitment on financing for development.
The president also used the platform to rally the international community to support Zimbabwe's bid for a non-permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council for the 2027 to 2028 term. The country formally launched its candidature for the non-permanent seat a month ago and has to date secured the support of 134 countries, surpassing the minimum threshold of 128 votes required to clinch the post.
Now, as government continues with its work to revitalize the nation's industrial output, the Vice President of Zimbabwe, Dr. Constantino Chiwenga, today resumed his economic tour, which took him to Matabeleland North Province, where he took time for an inspection of the Hwange Colliery mine, a cornerstone asset in mining and energy sectors. Now, the mine is currently undergoing a revitalization process as part of targeted investments being channeled to boost coal production. Vice President Chiwenga highlighted that the modernization of Hwange Colliery will optimize operational efficiency to ensure its long-term viability and continued contribution to the national economy.
The tour that I've just completed clearly shows that Hwange is now back. What we are, back on its feet. Now, what we now want to see is the quick development of the various ideas, the strategies that they have given us. Here we are standing right at the refurbished coke battery. This was old technology. And they went round and they got at one stage cost up to 50 million, but they managed to do it at 7.5 million. What a saving! And this is what we want to see is strategic thinking, mindset of our leadership in industry. In industry, they did a wonderful job. And what we now need, to do is to make sure they implement the construction of new coking batteries that will meet the demand that they have been given. And they have assured me that they will be able to do, to achieve that.
Now let's cast a spotlight on agriculture. Zimbabwe is set for a promising 2025-26 summer cropping season, with the Met Services Department forecasting normal to above normal rainfall across much of the country. Now, the outlook presented during the ongoing National Climate Outlook Forum in Harare brings renewed hope for farmers and the agricultural sector, though experts are urging vigilance against possible flooding in low-lying areas. Eben Mabunda has more.
Now, normal to above normal rainfall is expected across Zimbabwe for the 2025-2026 rainy season, a good indication for a country that is home to over 2 million smallholder farmers.
The Meteorological Services Department made the announcement during the ongoing National Climate Outlook Forum in Harare, where experts, policymakers and farmers are meeting to discuss and interpret this year's seasonal rainfall projections. Presenting the National Climate Outlook, Met Department Director Rebecca Manzo said the focus points to a promising rainfall season, particularly from December through to March next year.
It means an increased chance of normal to above normal rainfall across the country. So that's your December to February. The same will be said for your January to March.
Manzo highlighted that November is likely to experience relatively subdued rainfall activity, with warmer than normal temperatures expected to persist before cooler, wetter conditions set in from December. She added that the southern parts of the country are expected to receive a higher rainfall totals in December, while January and February are projected to bring widespread rains across the country. Experts in the agricultural sector describe the focus as a welcome development for the country's rain-fed farming communities.
We say there is need for increased water harvesting, some supplementary irrigation, and some moisture conservation strategies, whether in rain-fed farming systems or irrigation system. Then we need, to do proper agroecological matching.
Agriculture remains the backbone of Zimbabwe's economy, providing livelihoods for over 60% of the population, contributing about 10% to the country's GDP, and supplying over 40% of the raw materials used in industry. The Zimbabwe National Water Authority says, while most of the country's dams currently hold adequate water, there is still a need to strengthen conservation efforts and expand irrigation infrastructure. The country has around 10,000 water bodies, yet only a quarter are being utilized for irrigation.
We have our estimated length that can be covered, that is 78,310 hectares, and also the total irrigable land, if we are going to continue to have good rains, that will be 635,000 hectares that could be irrigable.
Meanwhile, the Department of Civil Protection has urged communities in low-lying and flood-prone areas to be on high alert, warning that climate change-induced excessive rainfall could lead to flooding and displacement.
Whilst the projection or the forecast is favorable for agriculture and water resources, it might also heighten the occurrence of extreme weather events such as flooding, flash flooding, riverine flooding, heavy storms.
The rainfall outlook brings a hope for improved agricultural productivity, but it also calls for proactive planning to mitigate potential weather-related disasters.
Now, normal to above normal rainfall spells some positives for the country's agriculture as well as food security. On the flip side, this could pretty much translate to potential flooding, especially for those in the country's low-lying areas. Reporting for ZTN Prime, I'm Ibn Mabunda at the Meteorological Services Department in Harare.
Now we have details on a story that is still developing involving Prophet Walter Magaya. Now, Prophetic Healing and Deliverance Ministries founder was this Tuesday denied bail on rape charges and was remanded in custody until the 13th of November by Harare Magistrate Marewa Nashukofa. He was advised to apply for bail at the High Court. Magaya has also chosen not to seek bail in a separate fraud case where he is jointly charged with his wife, Tendai Magaya, and their operations manager, Tatenda Chingua. Now, our correspondent, Blessing Masakaza, who was at court earlier today, joins us live for an update. Blessing, good evening. Now, of course, you are now in the comfort of your home, but if you could just please give us an update from what happened during today's court proceedings.
So this morning, the presiding magistrate, Ms. Marewa Nashukofa, dismissed Magaya's application for immediate release. Magaya had challenged that he was over-detained together with his wife in security detail, but the court said they can actually pursue other remedies that are provided at law. However, his lawyer, Mr. Admire Ubaya, said he is going to apply for a review of the magistrate's decision. He said he's also going to apply for his bail in terms of the rape allegations and also the fraud allegations. This comes after the magistrate granted bail to Magaya's wife, Ms. Tendai Magaya, $500, and ordered him to surrender her passport and to present herself once a fortnight to the police, Waterfalls Police Station. Magaya waived his right to apply for bail at the magistrates in terms of the fraud allegations. He said they will combine together with the rape case at the High Court. This is because the magistrates court does not have the jurisdiction to entertain bail hearings in terms of rape allegations. They call them third schedule offenses, which the magistrates cannot entertain. Meanwhile, their security detail, Tapua, was also granted bail. He was ordered to pay $300 for his release. Meanwhile, they will also be back in court on 13 November. That will be a routine remand pending finalization of investigations.
Well, Blessing, thank you so much for your time and for giving us that update. We'll catch up with you when the story does go back to the courts. You are watching Newsplus. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
The government of Zimbabwe is proud to host the 5th African Public Procurement Network General Assembly from the 11th to the 14th of November 2025 at the Elephant Hills Resort in Victoria Falls. Under the inspiring theme, Transforming Public Procurement in Africa through Innovation, Inclusion, Sustainability and Regional Collaboration, this event brings together 53 African countries organized into 5 regional networks: North, East, West, Central and Southern Africa. This assembly is more than just a gathering. It's a vital platform where leaders, procurement experts and stakeholders come together to exchange lessons learned and best practices. It's a space to strengthen institutions and systems, to promote innovative solutions to procurement challenges, and to address governance and strategic planning issues across the continent. Join us in shaping the future of public procurement in Africa, where collaboration meets innovation and progress knows no bounds. Together, we are building a stronger, more sustainable Africa.
Good evening and welcome to the greatest show on earth. This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come. Let's go!
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, government has called on the media to truthfully and timely tell the Zimbabwean story, underscoring the importance of controlling and managing national narratives to strengthen national security and safeguard the country's interests. The call was made at Zimbabwe National Defense University's Media Day for students of the National Defense course in Harare today. We get more details in this report.
Every great power invests in storytelling. China talks of harmony and rejuvenation. Russia invokes sovereignty and pride, while the US speaks of democracy and freedom. These are not just words. They are instruments of soft power, shaping how nations perceive each other and themselves. Zimbabwe's story, born from sacrifice and self-determination, risks being drowned in the global noise. But the solution to a distorted image is not silence. Stakeholders from key media players in the media landscape, led by Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Nick Mangwana, convened to discuss the role of the media on national security, telling your own story and telling it on time.
Therefore, we have the Freedom of Information Act, which pushes and obligates everybody to open up and discuss things with the media, or individuals for that matter. What we lack is media literacy. Media literacy, even in the media itself, media literacy in the populace, and media literacy in certain institutions. But other than that, everything in terms of architecture has been put in place in the governance of this country.
The Permanent Secretary emphasized that the media must prioritize national interest, aligning closely with the defense forces in safeguarding Zimbabwe's image and stability.
There is no way we can talk security without the media playing a collaborative partnership with all the members of the security cluster.
Echoing the call for narrative control, Zimpaper's acting editorial executive, Elias Mambo, called on the regulatory authority to distinguish between trained journalists and unregulated content creators and build a media that tells the Zimbabwean story with dignity.
In terms of regulations, they are working towards professionalizing the media industry. They should accredit who a journalist is, and they should accredit who a content creator is, and there should be a separation there. We can't allow content creators, journalists, activists to all be playing the same role. That's where the problem is in Zimbabwe currently.
Mambo revealed that there is need for interdependency between the security forces and the media in line with the National Defense University theme, the role of the media in national security.
We need to take charge of our narratives. You go the world over, the Americans, they'll be telling their story, the British will be telling their story. We must also take charge and tell our own story in our own way, in our own languages. And we are also saying we need to take charge of the digital spaces, because that's the new battlefield.
With both the defense forces and the media acknowledging their shared responsibility, the call is clear. Information must build and not break the nation. In a bid to build public trust, Zimbabwe Media Commission has vowed to ensure public entities disclose necessary information to the media, cognizant of national interests.
We are encouraging them to be able to disclose this information so that you know what to write and what story to tell about Zimbabwe. And it is the mandate of the Commission that if they don't disclose this information, we make sure that they do. But this information that they will disclose has also limitations that speak to national security. So it's not everything that you will get, but they will tell you the parameters that they can give information so that we build public trust, so that we build unity in the country and we protect our country as a people.
As technology continues to evolve, the line between broadcasting and national security grows even thinner. The challenge remains informing the public while safeguarding the nation. Striking that balance is not just a media responsibility, but a matter of national interest. Tavares Buchiwe for ZTN Prime at Zimbabwe National Defense University.
Now, in other news, the African Peer Review Mechanism team in Zimbabwe has begun consultations with various stakeholders from government departments, state entities, and civil society. Now, the team, which arrived in the country on Sunday, is conducting a review mission focused on economic governance and management. Our reporter Sharon Munjinjema has the details.
As Ambassador Albert Chimbindi put it, sometimes it takes a true friend to tell you the ugly truth so you can make a change. And that is the spirit behind the African peer review process.
It is only your friend who can tell you how ugly you are and you don't take offense. That's the spirit. You present yourself thinking you are smart, you are this, you are good looking, and maybe the friend will whisper, well, yes, but maybe if you look at this and look at that and look at that, maybe you'll be much more beautiful.
And in line with that principle, Zimbabwe's engagements with the African Peer Review Mechanism team have begun. Closed session discussions were held yesterday afternoon with public sector and government officials. The peer review team also gathered information by asking questions on how macroeconomic policies are formulated and implemented, whether stakeholders are consulted, and what mechanisms exist to handle economic shocks.
I welcome you all to the second APRM focus group discussion on the review theme, economic governance and management. This peer review will run from yesterday, which is the 3rd of November, to 18 November. Yesterday, we had a very productive afternoon.
Today, state entities, academia and civil society sectors were engaged. These included the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe Congress of Students' Unions, Transparency International Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe Farmers Union, among several other organizations. Consultations with civil society focus on the extent of their involvement in policy formulation, the challenges they face monitoring government activities, and their access to information. The Zimbabwe government is confident this process will prompt introspection into policies and lead to targeted policy interventions.
Evidence-based assessment is at the heart of credible peer review. Robust statistical data enables objective analysis, informed decision-making, and targeted policy interventions. It is therefore imperative that all stakeholders, from ministries to research institutions, that they strengthen data collection, management, and dissemination systems to support this review and to sustain a culture of evidence-driven governance.
The African peer review team says it approaches the process impartially. There is no intention to judge, but to assess fairly, note what is working, and make recommendations for improvement. The team leader, Ambassador Al Hafni, urged participants to speak openly, stressing that, in his words, no African country is perfect.
Our task is to work to maximize those positive aspects and to work on the negative ones. We all have negative aspects when it comes to governance. And it is really something to appreciate very much that the state in Zimbabwe, at the highest level, the government, all the institutions, but of course, all the stakeholders.
Tomorrow, the African Peer Review Mechanism team will visit government projects in Harare, including the Trabablas Interchange, Robert Mugabe International Airport, and the African Museum of Liberation Struggle as part of the assessment of Zimbabwe's economic governance and management. Cheryl Munjenjema for ZTN News in Harare.
Now, authorities have raised concern over the rise in cyber fraud following arrest of 3 suspects for stealing money amounting to over 17,000 US dollars and 30 million ZiG in different parts of the country. Experts have since warned citizens to be extra vigilant in protecting their personal information online. Tafara Swochiwe has the details.
It's a growing threat in Zimbabwe's digital landscape. Cyber fraudsters using the internet to steal from unsuspecting victims are on the rise. 3 days ago, police in Shurugwi arrested 3 suspects in connection with 29 cases of cyber-related fraud involving 17,009.5 United States dollars, 30,665,912.3 ZiG. Through phishing and social engineering, the suspects managed to access complainants' personal details and ultimately digital wallets. The scams were reported in Harare, Bulawayo and several other towns.
They would then obtain the passwords and then go on to the EcoCash accounts, go on to the Net1 accounts, go on to the bank accounts. Just imagine where they would then tamper with the system and then access the funds.
The suspects have since been arrested after a coordinated operation by the police's cybercrime unit. Commissioner Nyati says they are now better equipped to deal with such high-tech crimes.
Remember, we now have a fully fledged cyber laboratory, and some of these cases have come about as a result of the police cyber laboratory. And as you speak, we are currently surfacing some of the gadgets. Remember, we recovered quite a number of gadgets, which include IDs, which include SIM cards, which include bank cards. So we are surfacing, through these gadgets so that we get concrete evidence.
Experts warn that as more people and companies go digital, the risk of electronic fraud increases, especially for those who fail to secure their data.
To the general public, it's the basics of continuously or regularly changing the passwords. That's the first thing. The second thing, that's changing, updating the softwares, the phone operating softwares, or even the Google softwares or browsers on the phone. So basically, I think that's it. And also not opening links that perhaps you can be suspecting to be connected to fraudsters.
As the digital economy continues to grow, cyber experts say large organizations and institutions will need to invest in technologies such as blockchain and cloud computing in a bid to protect themselves against cyber-related crimes.
To be using cloud computing technologies and even the blockchain technology, because you see these technologies have been built in such a way that data on its own is not centralized in one place. It's diversely centralized, which then will reduce the risk of these fraudsters.
Authorities say even big organizations are falling victim to cybercrime. But many choose to remain silent to protect their corporate image, investor and public confidence.
We urge companies not to sweep these cases
under the carpet, under the guise of protecting their reputation. Remember, we've had pensioners who have lost their money, where money has been banked, and somebody accesses the system and says, can you activate this password or code? And in the process, the money is going. Within seconds, the money is gone. So there is no need in this regard for companies, for institutions to sweep these cases under the carpet.
With millions of dollars already lost to online scams, authorities are urging Zimbabweans to stay alert and think before they click. Cybercrime may be invisible, but its impact is painfully real. Tafaras Buchiwe for ZTN Prime.
You are watching Newsplus. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Vanoda valisizi itai aye, varimi vese itai aye, vanoda go itai aye, simuza go rako, kurumiza, nokona kungoti oyo, vavalisizi padamoyo, vanyai vana maina na baba, kurumiza, mbeu kwayo riku valisizi. Airowe nezvifukuto kana tsikitsi kana zvirwere ende nokupa harvest. Apa ndiri kurevesa very honest. Nevalisidzi itai aye, varimi vese itai aye, vanoda go.
Mwaka uno tenga mbeu yako ku Valley Seeds usimudze goho rako. Valley Seeds vauchiki vembeu yechibage yepana nePioneer, Goros, ma-traditional grains nema-vegetable seeds ose anopa goho repamsorosoro. Valley Seeds, where farming meets the farmer.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Now let's talk technology. It continues to evolve at an unprecedented pace, with artificial intelligence leading the charge. Now, while AI offers some remarkable opportunities, it also presents some serious challenges, including advanced deepfakes and sophisticated cyber threats. Authorities in the ICT sector have urged stakeholders to deepen their understanding of AI to better address complex ethical challenges that require continuous regulatory oversight.
Legal frameworks are essential for building public trust and encouraging the safe adoption of AI technologies. However, the rapid development of new innovations often outpaces existing laws, creating a constant struggle for regulators to stay relevant. Telecoms Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe, Portris, has voiced concerns over crafting ICT regulations that risk becoming obsolete before they are even implemented. Portris Director General Dr. Gift Machengeta emphasized the importance of understanding artificial intelligence, especially for regulators.
Technology is moving very fast, and regulatory frameworks are actually following behind. So some have come up now with what we think it could be a solution. To say, first of all, as regulators, we need to understand artificial intelligence. Understand artificial intelligence first in order to be able to regulate artificial intelligence. But go further, then to use artificial intelligence to regulate artificial intelligence.
Lazarus Murinda, an author and legal expert, recently launched a book in Zimbabwe's capital Harare called Artificial Intelligence and Law. The book reviews the dangers and risks presented by AI to ordinary citizens, and also touches on ethical and legal issues emanating from this new form of technology.
So basically what we are talking about, we are looking at the impact of AI on human rights, for example, which affects the ordinary citizen. We're talking about how to regulate AI, which talks to our policymakers, our regulators, our lawyers, our engineers, and the like, so that when they roll out these technologies, they are aware of the ethical issues, legal issues that emanate from the use of AI technology.
While AI can be regarded as efficient, accurate, and productive, there still lies issues on privacy concerns, manipulation, and misinformation. To address these challenges, authorities and experts are calling for proactive policy frameworks that balance innovation with accountability, ensuring that AI serves society safely and responsibly.
As Zimbabweans, we are actually doing a good job in launching our national strategy on AI. Hopefully, we will then move to another stage where we then develop our own laws around AI so that we have got a robust legal framework around this technology.
Without sufficient technical expertise, regulations risk becoming vague, quickly outdated, or leading to unintended consequences. Developing a deeper understanding of artificial intelligence will be crucial to prevent or minimize its potential negative impacts. For ZTM Prime, I am Setachi Siwagwaza in Harare.
Now let's take a look at news from around the world. Former South African President Jacob Zuma has accused colonial powers of maintaining indirect control over Africa despite decades of independence. He was speaking during a visit to Burkina Faso on Monday, where he met with President Ibrahim Traoré. Now, Zuma called on African nations to reclaim their full sovereignty, declaring that the time must end and we should run our own affairs. Now, this was what he was saying during that meeting. Over in Ghana, Ghanaian President John Dramani Mahama has renewed calls for Africa to be granted permanent seats in the United Nations Security Council during an address in Accra, describing the continent's exclusion as a historical injustice. Mahama reiterated that the continent demands at least 2 permanent seats with veto power, along with additional non-permanent seats. Mahama's comments align with other African demands for reform. Now, at the UN General Assembly in September, DRC President Felix Tshisekedi also urged the UN to grant Africa a stronger voice within its institutions, particularly in the Security Council. A global hunger observatory has confirmed famine conditions in the Sudanese city of Ofisha, which fell recently to the Rapid Support Forces. The UN begged integrated food security phase classification as has previously only confirmed famine in camps for displaced people around the North Darfur region. Now, Ofisha, thousands of civilians are continuing to flee the city to surrounding towns, including to Tawela, Melit, and Tawisha, following its capture. They have described their harrowing experiences under the 18-month siege. Now, displaced people say that the circumstances in the city have become increasingly difficult. Some residents have reported that with food supplies cut off, they are forced to eat animal feed and sometimes their hides. Aid groups worry about the fate of thousands more who are either trapped in Al-Fashar or have disappeared as they tried to flee. At least 7 climbers, including 5 foreigners and 2 Nepalese, have died after being hit by an avalanche on a Himalayan peak in northeastern Nepal. Rescuers located 2 bodies and are still searching for the remaining 5 who are believed to have been buried by snow. 8 others have been rescued and are in the capital Kathmandu getting treatment for their injuries. Now, all these climbers were part of a group that set out over an hour before the avalanche hit. The bodies of the other 5 deceased climbers are suspected to be about 10 to 15 feet below the snow, and according to experts, it will take time to find them. Those that were killed include 2 Italians, a Canadian, a German, a French, and 2 Nepalese who served as guides. And now we give you some business news.
Welcome wherever you are. And Mamouche, room to shoot! He well and truly did. It's an opportunity. What a shot to Sino! Tarkovsky! Scott's got to be careful. Bukayo Saka! But it's Salah, and that one delivers!
Never miss a play, home or away. Stream all Premier League games live on Showmax.
Harare, tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
Welcome back. You're still watching Newsplus. Now, on a look at business, textile giant David Whitehead Textiles Limited is steadily regaining its position as a major player in the country's industrial landscape, producing about 2 million meters of fabric per month and resuming exports to regional markets. Now, the firm's revival marks a major milestone in Zimbabwe's drive to rebuild its manufacturing base and restore the once vibrant textile value chain from cotton farming to finished garments under the government's industrialization and import substitution strategy. This progress was reviewed during a tour of the Kadoma-based plant by the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Industry and Commerce over the weekend as part of its oversight visits to monitor resurgent industries. Now, Zambia's power utility Zesco Limited could incur a penalty of about $5 million for severely exceeding its hydropower generation water allocation at the Kariba Dam by the end of 2025. The utility's current water consumption for power generation means it could exceed its allocation by 4.5 billion cubic meters, according to the Zambezi River Authority. The projected overuse will trigger a penalty fee of approximately $5.1 million. Together with the Zimbabwe Power Company, the power utilities were allocated 28 BCM, shared equally for the 2025 calendar year for power generation. Now, profit after tax soared to $376 million, a substantial increase from $79 the prior, benefiting from operational strength and a significant currency gain. Now, the group revenue climbed to $2.9 billion, recording strong constant currency growth of 24.5%. Data revenue became the largest contributor to the group revenue, driven by a 37% constant currency growth in data revenue and a 45% increase in data traffic. Total customer base grew by 11% to 173.8 million. Data customers grew by 18% to 78 million. And now for some entertainment news.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play.
The one story where you can't get out of your head. Wakatarisa munhu so Erika like where you are sitting. Ndozongokona bata face so pasina munhu.
Wakasiya music yako iyo afro chakuti ndo music manje yemuZimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so
Shona kana kuti Chindevere kana mumwe mutaure muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe. Ndiwo rupawo rwako. Ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Now look at some entertainment news. The Royal Pact Debate Academy has launched the Zimbabwe Schools Debate League, which is set to commence in January of 2026. Now, the National League seeks to mainstream debating as a recognized sport in schools while promoting intellectual engagement, confidence, and leadership skills among secondary and high school learners across Zimbabwe. Now, the inaugural edition will feature 32 schools from across the country, each represented by a team of 5 learners. Teams will be placed into 8 groups based on power rankings calculated from their past performance in national and regional tournaments. Still in some entertainment, over the weekend, Zimpraise went above and beyond gospel lovers' expectations. The Zimpraise Apostolic Gathering 2025 transformed Glamis Arena into sacred ground. Now, the event truly lived up to its theme. It's all about Jesus, as each act offered something unique yet perfectly connected to the bigger spirit of the night. The Apostolic Gathering has been described as both a reflection and a prophecy. Here is a little sneak peek of the concert. In other entertainment news, the Zimbabwe Hip Hop Awards are poised to celebrate their 15th anniversary with a special tribute to 2 cultural icons whose influence helped shape the genre, Desmond Stana Chideme and the late Babongile Skonjwa. Scheduled for the 12th of December in Harare under the theme Cultural Estate, this year's edition will honor the duo's enduring contributions to Zimbabwean hip-hop. Now, Stana, the trailblazer behind the timeless anthem Godo, will be presented with the Lifetime Achievement Award, while the late broadcaster Babongile Rockstar Skonjwa will receive a posthumous honorary award for his outstanding role in promoting and nurturing hip-hop through radio, events, and mentorship. And now for some sporting action.
Captain Wally J's about to take you to boot camp.
It's the riveting science and tech show that keeps you up to date with the hottest gizmos on the block and revealing the illustrious and innovative visionaries in Zimbabwe. So much to see, you'll keep swiping.
This cherry red beauty is the Dairy Auto M7 mini electric car.
They've designed our brute force incubator board.
Look at what we've got here.
Solar powered scarecrow was part of the project that I was supposed to complete.
Catch Swipe every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. on ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294. Get the picture?
Welcome back. You're still watching Newsplus. Now, I want to look at some sporting action tonight. ZIFA are set to settle on a foreign coach to replace German Michael Nies, who was sacked last month, with 5 candidates shortlisted for the Warriors' top job. These include former Bafana Bafana and Kaizer Chiefs coach Stuart Baxter, who is the favorite to land the job. The others are Romanian Mario Marinica, who has coached Malawi and Liberia. Frenchman Patrice Neville, who has experience coaching several African countries, including Guinea, Kenya, DRC, and Mauritania, as well as the Portuguese duo of Luis Goncalves, a former Mozambique coach, and Antonio Gonciacchio, who led Cameroon through the AFCON qualifiers, complete the shortlist from over 100 coaches who applied for this job. ZIFA are expected to name the new Warriors coach before this month's FIFA international break. Now, still in sport, England-based Warriors striker Macaulay Bowen is keen on a return to the side after having last represented the nation a year ago during the Four Nations tournament in Malawi. Bowen says he has learnt a lot of lessons during his time in the national team setup and is confident that he can help ease the goal-scoring challenges.
It's been on and off for many years. Not how I want it to go, but it's always meant a lot to me to play for Zimbabwe, and I've always wanted to and still do. Learned a lot of lessons along the way in international football and adapting to the style of play of how the different sorts of managers who I've played under have wanted me to play. And I just really wanted to express my feelings, not being involved for the last few months to a year in the World Cup and the AFCON qualifiers, which I was always really honest to the manager at the time, said I want to come and play, and I just wasn't picked, albeit that be his decision. I could never have forced his hand. I just said, look, I'm here, regardless of where I was playing. I feel like I can add a lot to the national team and have added a lot when I have played.
With the Warriors having struggled in front of goal in recent times, particularly in the World Cup qualifiers, Bond says he's ready to represent his nation again and has kept his door open for another call-up to the Warriors fold.
This is me saying I'm ready, I'm here, and I want to be part of it because it's a massive thing for me to play for Zimbabwe and hopefully be the man that can help the country do well and score some goals. That's what I've done my whole career. I've had an up and down career for the last 3 or 4 years, but the one thing that's always been straight for me is that I want to play for my national team. Like I love playing for my country. It means a lot to me, my family. And like I said before, all I need is one moment in either of the 2 games coming up to show that I'm worthy of going to AFCON or having a space in the national team. Something I've always dreamed of, playing at a big competition, and AFCON's one of them that I haven't done yet, wasn't able to a few years ago.
Now, some cricket news. Veteran all-rounder Sean Williams' international career is over after he admitted to struggling with drug addiction and voluntarily checking himself into rehabilitation. Williams made himself unavailable for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup Africa qualifiers, where there was a possibility of anti-doping testing. This triggered an internal investigation by Zimbabwe Cricket, where the former Chevrons captain disclosed his drug addiction. As a consequence, Zimbabwe Cricket said the 39-year-old Williams will no longer be considered for the national team selection, and his central contract will not be renewed upon its expiry in December. Now, despite the decision, Zimbabwe Cricket praised Williams' contributions over nearly 2 decades, calling him a player who has left a lasting legacy on and off the field. Williams made his debut in February 2005 and is the longest-serving player in international cricket after a career spanning 20 years. Now, after nearly a year on the sidelines recovering from a major anterior cruciate ligament injury, Greenfield midfielder Nelson Mwasanga is closing in on a remarkable comeback. His road to recovery has been long and demanding, but with successful surgery, strong faith and community support, Mwasanga is determined to return stronger and help his team fight for honours next season. We get more in the following report.
What was once a place of joy turned into heartbreak for Greenfield midfielder Nelson Mwasanga, who suffered an ACL injury late in the 2024 season. A year on, and after a successful surgery, is back on his feet, continuing his long and demanding road to recovery.
Inge turi nyaya passion munhu anenge akaisa zvinhu zvese mumwoyo saka zvinhu zvisingatambirike just because inini pandakakuwara zvakandiorera tembo ndibva munhu zvishonekera sei ndakakuwara ndakatombodzokera kubasa January ndakatozova mautrainer but ndaifosa nekusaziva kuti ndakaita sei ndakanyatsokuwara zviri serious saka ndakaita tembo kuti akatombotrainer but makocha akasvika pekuti akataura kuti zvaita chimoenda ichi zvinoenda kumaimara scan pandikaenda kumaimara scan ndopandikaona kuti ndakakwara zvemashuwa ndopandikamira kutamba bhora ndakatogamuchira zvishuwa kuti panapa watoitwa surgery.
Months after surgery, Mwasanga's comeback is nearing reality, with steady progress made possible by the support of the community that aided his recovery.
Nokuti pagore randakagara kumbaka chinhu chakanyanya kuti ndisafunge nezvebhora isociety yandaiswera ndiri. Vanhu vandaigara ndinavo vaindito ndisafunge zvebhora zvakanyanya sei. Vanhu vandaigara ndinavo vanhu vaigara ndichitaura nenyaya zvekuti ndaisawana time yekuti ndaigara ndega. Ndaikwanisa vangu kuzoenda kumabhora apo neapo. Zvinhu zvinorwadza kuona vamwe vachitamba zvekuti unongosingatambi. Asi society nokuti society yandaigara ndiri nini yakandisimudzira isingaiti zvekuti ndakakanganwa bhora kusvika pandiri panapa nhasi.
For Nelson Mwasanga, every day marks progress from struggling to walk to running again, and credit his prayer for guiding him through his injury recovery.
Times shamwari dzinobetsera kuti apasi pese panoda shamwari. Pakawanda panoda vanhu vakakukomberedza, vanhu vemumhuri ndovanototi ivo vakusimbise mwoyo wako nepfungwa dzako. Uzi wakakwara depression nokuro isingaiti kurupa kuti unogona kufunga kuti uchadzoke kubhora kana kuti career yapera. But ifezi kuti wakanamba nezvazvo uchiudza Mwari kuti zvishwa ndakakwara zvakadai, ine Mwari ndisimbisei panguva yakadai. Ndotenda kuti zvese munhu zvaunoshuvira zvinoita kuda.
The injured midfielder, who has been out for nearly a year, remains a passionate supporter of Greenfield as the team fights for survival. Despite his frustration on the sidelines, he stays hopeful of a full recovery and aims to return stronger next season to help turn the club's struggles into success.
Greenfield ndoitenda nokuti yakandisimudzira nokuti kukwara kwandanga ndakaita ina ndakakwara zvisingaiti. Asi nerukurudziro rakabva kuGreenfield ndaive pandiri nhasi, ndaikwanisa kumhanya, ndaikwanisa kufamba, ndaikwanisa kuita zvinhu zvakawanda. Saka ndotenda Greenfield isingaiti nekundikurudzira kwaikandiita nokundibetsera kwaikaita kundive pano nhasi. Next year ndikutarisa kuti timu yangu ngaingosevhaiva relegation. Yasurvivor relegation, I'm sure kuti changa January chienda mberi tichashanda nesimba kuti tikwanise kuita timu iwinewo league kana kuti timu isaite machallenges ekufighta relegation gore negore.
Although still on the sidelines, Mwasanga's focus is firmly on returning stronger next season, determined to help transform the club's struggles into success and write a new chapter of success after adversity.
Now, Acting Minister of Sport, Recreation, Arts and Culture, Tinoda Machagere, today met with the newly crowned Africa's strongest woman, Chidoma Enzanise, who now has 28 medals to her name. Minister Machagere says Enzanise's strength lifts the nation's spirit and pride.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we are gathered to celebrate strength. We are not talking about the kind that lifts weights or pulls trucks, but the strength that lifts the nation's spirit and national pride. Chidoma Enzanise has done what few have dared to dream. She has conquered Africa. Her crowning as Africa's strongest woman is not just a personal triumph, it is a victory for Zimbabwe. We want to congratulate you for that once again.
Here is all because of you and for your support. And as I've conquered Zimbabwe, Africa, I'll also conquer the world. I'll take the gold medal for Zimbabwe in the world again.
I've got so much confidence that she's going to conquer and make us proud as Zimbabweans, and she's going to do well. I've got that dream. I've got that hope in her because she has done it before and I know she can do it. So, as the acting minister.
And with that, we call it an evening. Thank you so much. You were watching Newsplus. My name is Faith Nyaude. We leave you with the weather forecast. Good evening and enjoy the rest of your viewing.